Three, two, one.
Hello and welcome to the Fantasy Football Happy Hour podcast. I'm Matt, and it is week 14 of the NFL season, which we're getting closer. Getting closer to the end of the fantasy season. For a lot of people, this is going to be the last week of the regular season. It's also the last week of bye weeks in the NFL. And we have some huge matchups that will have big ramifications for the playoffs. One of those actually took place on Thursday night. So, Dallas and Detroit both played big Thanksgiving Day games, mixed results. The Detroit Lions losing to the Green Bay Packers, the Dallas Cowboys beating the Kansas City Chiefs. That kept both of them in the running for the NFC playoffs, with both of them out on the outside looking in. They clashed again on Thursday Night Football. It was a huge game for both. I thought Dallas was riding a huge wave of momentum. It seemed like Detroit was a little beat up. It seemed like Amon-Ra St. Brown wasn't going to play, but then little did we know, on Thursday pops up, good enough to go. Actually looked pretty good in the game. So did Detroit. They put up 44 points and got the 44-30 victory. They're still on the outside looking in, but certainly a big win for them as they try to progress toward the playoffs. Cowboys now 6-6-1. Their best shot is to catch the Eagles. The Eagles are now 2.5 games ahead of them right now. We'll see what happens. If the Eagles lose, then they drop to a game and a half. If they win, they could go even further in front. Actually, they're 2 full games in front. Sorry, I can't do math. Math is tricky. When you have these ties, it is very tricky. So we'll see if they can maintain their game and a half back, which is still a lot to overcome with only 4 weeks left. They've already played each other both times. They split those games, which is fine for Dallas, but that's not a way they're going to be able to pick up ground. If they go 2.5 up with 4 games to play, that feels like that's kind of an impossible ask. Dallas, essentially the best they can get to is 10 wins now. And I don't know if that's going to be enough in the NFC, funnily enough. A couple of the wild card teams already sitting on 9 wins. If the Packers win today, then all 3 wild card teams will be sitting on at least 9 wins, which means that they are at least 2.5. There are 3 up in the win column, but 2.5 overall above the Dallas Cowboys. So we will see how it goes. I think it's getting a little less realistic that Dallas makes a playoff run, but still a better season than maybe we thought they were going to have. Detroit, meanwhile, 8-5, they're still 3rd in their own division. They got swept by the Packers, so that is a bad beat. They still have another game against the Bears. They could, if with a win there, have swept the Bears, which would give them something. They're kind of chasing San Francisco's already at 9 wins, 9-4. Seattle and Los Angeles also already at 9 wins. So you already have 3 teams at 9 wins in the NFC West. So I think no matter what, ending this week, they're likely to be on the outside looking in. Actually, I think definitely no matter what, they're on the outside looking in, because even if Green Bay loses, they'd be a half game up because of their tie, and they would home the tiebreaker. So still a lot of work to do for Detroit if they want to get into the playoffs. Those are some of the games that already happened. Let's talk about some of the games coming up. Games of the week, I usually highlight one in every viewing window. The early window, I think this is a massive one, 8-4 Colts at the 8-4 Jacksonville Jaguars. Colts have been atop the AFC South pretty much all season, and at one point they were actually the top seed in the AFC in general. They've had a couple of tough losses, and now technically the Jaguars are number 1 in that division. Both teams are 8-4. They each have play each other 2 more times. This is the first of their season matchups. They have another one down this stretch, so that's really going to tell the tale, I think, in the AFC South. Of course, the Texans still chasing them too, 1 game back. So this one, a massive one in that division. In the afternoon window, it's a massive one. I just talked about the NFC North. The Chicago Bears not only enter atop the NFC North, but as the number one overall seed in the NFC going into this week, they are 9-3, 8-3-1. The Green Bay Packers not that far behind. This is the first of their two matchups. So Chicago, a lot can change for Chicago down the stretch. They play the Packers 2 times and the Lions once in this 5 games. So nothing a lock. They're looking pretty decent to at least be in the playoffs. But if they want to keep holding a high position, they've got to win. And I think they've got to at least split with the Packers if they want a realistic shot at the division. So will they get this first one in Green Bay? Will it come later? We shall see. Sunday night football, another one with big playoff ramifications. The 7-5 Houston Texans at the 6-6 Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are barely clinging to life. They are 10th in the AFC. That is not where you want to be in week 14. But Houston, not a whole lot better. They are on the outside looking in when it comes to the playoff picture right now as well. They need to do some work. This is a great defense against what has been a good passing offense, but that's about the best thing you can say about the Chiefs. They've had a good passing offense. They haven't gotten a lot of other things done, haven't had a lot of consistency. And finally, Monday Night Football, the Philadelphia Eagles 8-4 at the 8-4 Los Angeles Chargers. Both of these teams are fighting for the playoffs. The Eagles are in the driver's seat in the NFC East, which is a good thing, but they've lost their hold on the top overall seed. The Chargers, meanwhile, enter this week 2 games behind the Broncos in the AFC West. They're still holding on for a wild card spot, but there is plenty of people that want to come all the way around. The Chargers have dealt with a lot of injuries. Justin Herbert expected to play despite having surgery on a fractured left hand. Omari and Hampton could be back. That could give them a lift. The Eagles, supposedly Nick Sirianni's been working with the offense a lot more this week. What kind of a difference does that make? I guess we will find out on Monday night. So those are a look at some of the games I like. What about some players I like or don't like? That's right. It is time for Sit Start. We'll look back at week 13. Not my greatest week. Among starts, I called for Josh Allen at quarterback, and he was good, but he wasn't incredible. Only QB 13, so that is a narrow miss. Running back Travis Etienne had been the best part of the Jaguars game, but he finished as running back 52 last week. He was pretty much MIA in a win, so that was a miss. Jamar Chase, wide receiver 13. Picked up right where he left off with Joe Burrow. Brock Bowers ended up being TE1. He was pretty happy with the new offense. So 2-2 there. In the sits category, Lamar Jackson continues to struggle. Quarterback 27. Called that correctly. RJ Harvey, though, finished as running back 2. Was probably the best thing in the Broncos offense on Sunday night. So miss for me. Deebo Samuel, wide receiver 32. Kyle Pitts was tight end 5. So, a little bit of a mixed bag, 2-2 there. So 4-4 overall. Let's go to this week's suggestions. As always, I do one sit and one start from each of the positions. We'll start at quarterback, and my start is Daniel Jones. Look, he's had a solid season. The team is in a huge divisional fight, as I mentioned, and I know he has a broken leg. But the Colts have a huge matchup, and after back-to-back losses, they need a win. The Jaguars' defense has been very strong against the run, stronger against the run than the pass, so I think they will need Jones to step up as they look to get a victory, and I think he will do it. My sit, however, is Caleb Williams. Look, the Bears enter as the number 1 overall seed. I mentioned that earlier, but this offense has been somewhat unpredictable. This week, the Bears are on the road against the Packers. That's not a place that has been kind to Chicago in recent years. And the Packers have a lot to play for as well. They have a chance to make their own run to the number 1 seed in the NFC, starting with getting a win. I suspect that they will bottle up Williams and they will get on the path to victory here. So I am sitting Caleb Williams. Let's turn to running backs. My start this week is the great Derrick Henry. Look, the Ravens are in a fight for a playoff spot. They are battling the Pittsburgh Steelers. Both teams are 6-6, kind of a battle of attrition there. Lamar Jackson has really struggled the past 3 weeks, and the team has leaned on Henry. He has 17 or more fantasy points in each of the last 3 weeks, and I think he'll keep it up in a must-win game for the Ravens at home. My sit is Tony Pollard of the Tennessee Titans. Like the rest of the Titans offense, Pollard has been stuck Chuck in neutral this season. The Titans don't have much going on, and that really includes the run game. He's only running back 32 on the season. He doesn't figure to be able to crack through against a stout Cleveland Browns defense. Tony Pollard, a sit for me. How about wide receivers? Well, I am back on the A.J. Brown train. I am starting A.J. Brown. Sometimes you just need to remind people you exist, and that seems to have been the tactic that Brown took earlier this season. His complaints often made headlines, and now the team seems to be putting a focus on getting him the ball. When they do, good things happen. That's good for the Eagles. It's good for fantasy, and I think Brown will continue that Monday night against the Los Angeles Chargers. My sit is DJ Moore of the Chicago Bears. I got a little more nervous on this when they ruled out Rome Odunze, but look, I mentioned above, I'm not bullish on Caleb Williams this week. It's a tough matchup in a place the Bears haven't done well. It's also hard to know which receiver is going to get targets and volume. Early in the season, it was Rome Odunze. A few weeks ago, it was Moore. But no one seems to be a safe week-to-week option. In a big week for fantasy, I just am not set on relying on the Bears pass offense. Tight end starts. Look, I'm going back to the Ravens and I'm pulling up Mark Andrews. He's my start. It's been an uneven year for Andrews and the Ravens pass offense. Look, I know I mentioned Lamar Jackson has been good of late, but in big moments, Andrews consistently steps up. I mean, 2 weeks ago, it was a 35-yard, basically quarterback sneak run for a touchdown. He's fresh off a new contract extension. He's facing the Steelers in a must-win game. I think he's going to step up again. He is a start for me. My sit, meanwhile, Oronde Gadsden, the second of the Los Angeles Chargers. For a hot minute, he was red hot. He was putting up points. Justin Herbert seemed to be locked in on him. But since week 10, he hasn't had more than 6 points in any fantasy matchup. Facing the Eagles on Monday night, I just don't think that's going to help. Oronde Gadsden is a sit for me. So that's my sit starts. Let's wrap this puppy up by talking about picks against the spread. And my year continues to be a bit of a struggle. I was 7-9 last week. That put me at 91-103. Entering the week, I took the Dallas Cowboys plus 2.5. 2.5 was not nearly enough points to cover the ineptitude of a 44-30 loss for the Cowboys. So I am 91-104 heading into Sunday. Here are my picks. Take them for what they may be. I took the Seattle Seahawks minus 7.5 in Atlanta. I think they will easily beat the Falcons. I took the Cleveland Browns minus 4.5 at home over the Tennessee Titans. They have a good defense. Sanders has been decent. The Titans, really a struggle. I took the Washington Commanders minus 1.5 on the road in Minnesota. Neither of these teams is great, but I like Jaden Daniels coming back more than I'm excited about J.J. McCarthy. I took the Miami Dolphins minus 2.5 on the road against the Jets. This is a curious one. Tua doesn't do well when it's less than 40 degrees, as it's projected to be, but the Jets have apparently never beaten Tua. So, variety of outcomes here. I'm betting on Devon Achane. I took the New Orleans Saints plus 8.5 in Tampa Bay. I think the Buccaneers will get the win, but that feels like too many points. I took the Indianapolis Colts minus 1.5 in Jacksonville. I think the Colts get the victory and move into first. I took the Pittsburgh Steelers plus 5.5 on the road in Baltimore. I think the Ravens will get the win at home, but I thought it was too many points. Same for Cincinnati in Buffalo. I took Cincinnati plus 5.5 in Buffalo. I think the Bills will get the win. I think it's too many points. I took the Denver Broncos minus 7.5 on the road in Las Vegas. It was not a good game the first time these two teams played. I'm hoping for better. I took the Chicago Bears plus 6.5 on the road in Green Bay. I think the Packers will win, but it felt like too many points. I took the Los Angeles Rams minus 8.5 on the road in Arizona. Coming off of a loss, I think the Rams will look to reestablish themselves. I took the Kansas City Chiefs minus 3.5 at home against Houston. I think the Chiefs' backs are against the wall. They get the win. And I took the Philadelphia Eagles minus 2.5 on the road in Los Angeles. I think the Eagles will pull out a victory over the Chargers. So that is the slate in week 14. A lot of crucial matchups, a lot of fun and interesting matchups. Hope you have some fun out there. Enjoy week 14. And I will be back next Sunday as we talk about week 15, likely the first weekend of the playoffs for most fantasy leagues.